All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the lightweight division, specifically something that was said about Gervonta Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather's relationship by George Kambsosos, who will be fighting Devin Haney for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We're going to talk about the lightweight division, specifically some comments that were made about Gervonta Davis and Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s relationship by George Kambsosos. But before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, first of all, if you are subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for helping the channel grow. Also, if you're not, please accept my invitation to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. Make sure you hit all notifications so that you get all of them. All right, man, there is a chance that we are going to be headed into a golden era of the lightweight division. We have a fight that is going to take place coming June 5th. To unify all the belts in the lightweight division, and it is going to be between Devin the Dream Haney and George Ferocious Kambsosos out of Australia. George Kambsosos holds the WBC. He's the WBC franchise titleist, the WBC champion, the WBA champion, and the IBO champion. I hope I said that right. Not IBO, IBF. WBO, WBA, and WBC franchise. And then we have Devin the Dream Haney, who's the WBC champion, not the WBC regular champion, but the WBC champion. And they now are going to be fighting each other. Now, some other news came out this week, and I'm going to connect it to George Kambsosos in a second. And that was an altercation going back and forth between Gervonta Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather Jr. or Mayweather Promotions, where Gervonta Davis said that he is a free agent, and after he becomes a free agent after the Rolly Romero fight, and pretty much displayed some degree of discomfort. Also, Floyd Mayweather Jr. said, made a statement to the effect that nothing lasts forever, right? However, when he said it, he also talked about and addressed one of the issues that Gervonta Davis had, which was how quickly his tickets were going on sale for Rolly Romero. Now that we're caught up in the background of it, George Kambsosos gave an interesting answer to a question that was posed to him in an interview in Australia, where he was asked, what do you think about Gervonta Tank Davis, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and their contract being expired, right? What do you think that means? Do you think that affects, your ability to fight Gervonta Tank Davis or other major or big fights at the lightweight division if you're able to get past Devin Haney? Now, and what he said was pretty much that, Devin Haney, that Gervonta Davis was sitting up thinking, why can't I get all of these big fights like these other guys are getting with you, Floyd Mayweather? And supposed that maybe the reason that he wanted to get away was because Floyd Mayweather and those guys were keeping him from getting the big fights that George Kambsosos himself was making, right? The fight with the Teofimo Lopez fight, and now George Kambsosos fighting Devin Haney. Now, and I do believe for the first time that George Kambsosos and Devin Haney are going to be in a fight that may actually be a big fight in the lightweight division, because they're going to be fighting in Melbourne, Australia on pay-per-view there, pay-per-view in the United States. It should be a stadium that they said that they believe that they're going to sell out. It's like a 60,000 seat stadium. So it's going to be a really, really big event, and probably the biggest as far as the number of people watching it, and people watching it, may be one of the biggest events that they've had in the lightweight division, right? So George Kambsosos is saying that maybe Gervonta Davis is getting a little bit jealous of everybody else making things happen, and it not happening for him. For him is the reason that he's leaving, or could consider leaving, Floyd Mayweather Jr. And in this is my take on it. I hope that he is right. I hope that Gervonta Davis is sitting there thinking, look, I want to fight Devin Haney. I want to fight George Kambsosos. I want the Teofimo Lopez fight. I want the Shakur Stevenson fight. I'm tired of hearing all these people talk about how I'm not fighting anybody, how I'm not proven, but at the same time, selling out arenas, making good money, and really being, a champion. Because, he is, even though he's a secondary champion, Gervonta Davis, in my opinion, has definitely proven that he is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. And in fact, I do believe he's the only guy in the lightweight division that actually is on any of those major boxing outlets, top 10 pound for pound. And I think he's number 10 with ESPN. I think he was number 10 on ESPN, but he won championships at 130 pounds. He won, real legitimate championships at 130 pounds. He has a secondary title at 130 pounds, the WBA regular, and he won a secondary title at 140 pounds. And the Mayweather promotions were trying to sell him a little bit, or the PBC, as a 3-division champion. But I think that promotion is fallen on deaf ears in large part because most people that are really hardcore boxing fans, even Gervonta Davis hardcore boxing fans, understand that those WBA belts that he had at 130 and 140 are not the major championship belts. So with George Kambsosos saying that, I hope that he's right. But also the things that have been said outside of, besides George Kambsosos and coming from Gervonta Davis himself, from his trainer's mouth, Calvin Ford, also pointed at, like, hey, man, we've been sitting here waiting to fight these guys for a while, and they may be feeling a little bit disgruntled, because, Floyd Mayweather Jr. himself said, look, what we want to do with Tank is we want to have in-house fights. Leonard Ellerbe, who's the promoter, the president, I think he's the president of, or is that the term that he is? He's the president of Mayweather Promotion. Oh, excuse me, not president. He's the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, the chief executive officer for Mayweather Promotions. Also said that, a lot of these big fights that people think are big really aren't that big. And these fighters are going to want to make a ton of money in order to fight Tank, but the money's really not in there because they're not, selling those fights. So there's legitimate word coming from the Mayweather camp about why it's difficult, or why they may be hesitant. I'm not going to say unwilling to fight, have Gervonta Davis fight other guys, but I'm saying they may be hesitant to is because of legitimate things. Now, also in defense of Mayweather Promotions, there was an exchange that took place between Leonard Ellerbe and I do believe it may have been Chris Mannix, where they had us talked about, how Mayweather Promotions weren't trying to make fights with Tank. And what they said was, look, you guys, we don't do our business out in the middle of the street. We do our business behind the scenes. So you don't know who it is we've tried to make fights with, who we've tried to get these deals done with. But they point to Mayweather and those guys as if they don't want to do it. However, it is what it is. Gervonta Davis did not get those fights. However, going forward, that's why I'm saying I think that, and I'm hoping that we could be in a real golden era of sports, because if Gervonta tries to pull back a little bit and does just enough to stimulate people to trying to make a deal with him and the winner of George Kambsosos and Devin Haney, that fight very well get made. However, I know that you also have this type of hurdle in that regard, and that's Vasily Lomachenko with Top Rank. With the Mayweather Promotions, with Floyd Mayweather trying to get the Manny Pacquiao fight, I'm still convinced all these years later that the major holdup on that was Top Rank and not Floyd, as proven by the fact that Floyd eventually made the fight, and Floyd had made offers for the fight originally, but Bob Arum and Manny Pacquiao turned it down. I could see them doing the same thing with George Kambsosos and Devin Haney and making sure that winner goes through at least a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, if not a fight with Vasily Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson before they make that fight, preventing it. Those type of things can happen. But anyway, it is what it is. I just wanted to give you my insight on what George Kambsosos said. I hope that he's right, and that's that he's a little bit jealous of the guy getting these big fights and wants to make the fights, but it is what it is. We'll see how it all plays out in the wash. That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.